Turn my video on and let's mute WaitBot.
Yay!
Okay.
How are
Well, hello
you?
everybody. Hello, Mark. We are live for our second monthly Empowerment Village simulcasting to
Yay!
YouTube. So those of you who are watching on YouTube, welcome, welcome, welcome. Hopefully we'll have some more people join us too as well. And so Jenny, my amazing co-host, my friend, my confidant, hey Dave, is here. We are co-hosting this Empowerment Village, and we're going to talk about when it's time to stay or time to go/grow. That's what we're talking about today.
Yes.
So, want your comments, want your input, want your interactions, want your questions. Feel free to ask to be on stage, invite yourself to speak, all that kind of good stuff. If you are new to Fireside, and just because I don't see a picture, I don't know, Mark and Dave, how new you are. If you are new to Fireside, in the bottom right, the react button, if you click on that, you pick an emoji and then you can send us a text or you can just send the emoji. And if you want to be on stage to speak, you click on the little, they call it the hamburger button that's in the bottom left, that little circle with the two lines. And there's an option that says ask to speak or ask to be on stage. And then we can also put you on video if you choose to be on video. So with that, hey, Jenny.
Hey, Laurel, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. So, hey, Anthony, I love you guys. I'm right. I'm right. Their show is so fantastic. Welcome. We're talking
Yes.
about when to stay and when to go/grow. So Jenny, when we were talking about what to talk about, you were mentioning all of our little list that we'd said, and you said, no, I think this is a good one. So
Yeah.
when you were deciding, because both of us left like
Mhm.
jobs,
Yeah.
how did you decide?
Well, in my case, it was kind of decided for me. I had been kind
Yeah.
of dabbling with a side hustle for maybe like a year
Mhm.
prior to the pandemic, and then I lost my job during the pandemic, like millions
Mhm.
of other Americans. I'm like, oh, this is the perfect time to do it, and I had the
Yeah.
time to do it, which I
Yes.
had never felt like I had before. So
Mhm.
for me, it was kind of like the kick in the pants that I really needed, and I think a lot of
Mhm.
people were in that situation. But whether it's your job or your relationship, like once I did it, I realized, oh my gosh, I should
Yeah.
have done this so much
Yes.
sooner. Why didn't I listen when I was getting whispers instead of,
Yep.
I finally got screams? Because it's so much better, and I'm so glad that I'm doing this now. I can't imagine doing a 9 to 5 right now. It would probably
Oh,
drive me crazy. How about you,
eh,
Laurel? I know you
yeah,
did it long before all these other people.
man. Yeah, and it's funny because I've I've left a number of jobs. So if you look at my LinkedIn, it's like, can she stay at a job? Um, but it was one of those things where I always knew when something didn't feel right. And when it started not feeling right, I was like, okay, this doesn't feel right. And every time some opportunity came up that I just said yes to, right? So most of the time when I was leaving, my first part of my career leaving was like leaving for another job. And then this last role in this global company, it was just toxic, man. I've still got some trauma related to that. And I just had to go. I just had to go. At that December, it was December of 2017, and I was at home with my family, and I was like, I'm not really here. I'm not really present. I'm tired. I'm being short with them. When we do have stuff, I can't show up. What am I doing? Because I'm spending all my energy and all my time with these folks who are assholes and don't care about me and don't even care about the other people that work for them. What am I doing? And so I just said, I'm done. I'm just done.
Yeah.
I'm just done. And
And
it
so
just
what did you
worked
do?
out.
Did you
And
leave
so
right
I
away
actually,
or?
it's funny. I went in, so I decided in December. I had so the way the company was organized, I had a U.S. boss and I had a global boss in Germany. And so I was going to Germany in February. I walked in February. We had a bunch of meetings, and then we were doing our performance like planning thing. Walked into my performance thing with a boss, that I actually really liked. And he said, okay, so let's talk about your goals for next year and blah, blah, blah. I said, before we get started, I just need to let you know I'm leaving, and I'm leaving in May. You've got till May because we were doing a big implementation. And so my goal wasn't to hurt anybody and even hurt the company, but I was just done. I mean, and there was like shock. the global VP, there was tears, there was, and I'm like, if y'all had been paying attention, this wouldn't be such a shock. But yeah, I when I think about leaving and going, it's just my gut just knew. I just
Mm.
knew. I just knew, and there was no peace. I wasn't angry. I wasn't ticked off. Nothing. It was just
I
time.
I think that's really key what you just said about being ticked off, because I've been in so many jobs where I'm like, I am just pissed off to be there.
Hmm.
And
Yep.
it, even jobs I've liked, sometimes just after a while, you're like, you're tired of the processes, you're tired of the people, you're
Yep.
tired of your boss. And, kind of like a lot of anger builds up.
Yeah.
But I think when you get to that moment of peace, like, I'm just
Hmm.
done, I'm
Yeah.
out, that's when you know for sure it's time
You
to
know,
go.
it's
It's
time.
not just because I'm
Yes.
having a bad day or, you know,
Yep.
these other
Yeah.
assholes. Like, it's just
Yes.
time to go.
And I could always tell, being in those senior HR roles, I could always tell. One, I always pay attention. I could always tell when we were about to lose somebody, always. And then when we do the little exit interviews, which are just ridiculous, hopefully somebody will come up with a process that you're actually asking people and think they'll actually, respond, and
Hmm.
that you do something with it. I I can always tell when somebody is making a rash decision versus somebody who's really doing something because they want to do it. And in earlier career, people tend to make more rash decisions, to be honest. I don't know. Maybe it's because they don't have, the biggest pressures, family and all that kind of stuff at home. I don't know. But they have a tendency to get more, and I'm spreading peanut butter. I know that. They have a tendency, in my experience, to get more really pissed off. This is what I'm just going to look for something else. They're going to pay me more money. They're going to give me a promotion. They're going to give me the
Hmm.
job title. They're going to, so
Hmm.
I'm just leaving. And this is all the stuff that's wrong with you when you go. And there's still some learning in that if you're paying attention. But
Right.
if you're ready to go, go. Don't
Hmm.
stay somewhere and then not perform and give people an excuse to help you go.
Hmm.
But just take a minute. Take a minute. And I think we don't think about going. And this was your word. How to are you? Is it time to stay? How do you decide whether or not you're going to stay or whether you're going to grow?
Hmm.
And I don't think people think about it that way. I mean, what made you think
No, I think there's a
it's
lot
not
of
just about going,
fear.
it's about growing? Yeah.
I'm sorry. You were breaking up a little bit
Oh,
on my end. It's probably my internet. Say that part again.
can you hear you? Yeah. So, how did you, when we talked about it, you were like whether or not to stay or to grow, go/grow. But how did you,
Hmm.
when you think about grow, what made you say, it might be just growing, not just going?
Yeah, I think that's a mindset change, because when you think about going, there's
Hmm.
like fear associated with that. Like, oh, what if I fail? What if it's worse than where I am now?
Hmm.
The grass is always greener on the other side. But when you think about it as an opportunity to grow or just do something different, sometimes
Yep.
it's not,
Yep.
a big step up, but it's just doing something different and learning in a different environment and being around different people. Then it seems
Hmm.
less scary, and you're more thinking about it as an adventure rather than fear. Kept me in a lot of jobs way too long because,
Oof.
and part of it I think is a little bit handed down from my
Hmm.
parents, who are always like, you're glad to have a job, lucky to have a
Yep.
job, you're thankful you have a job. And so to me, that's like, I'm hanging on to this job, I'm hanging on to this
Yeah.
job, I'm lucky to have a job. But
Hmm.
you kind of have to let go of that and think of it as an opportunity or an adventure, and then you're able to let go and grow rather than just staying stagnant in the same
Yeah.
place.
Yeah, that's so good. We don't think about those those generational, almost unintended consequences, right? So the things that our parents
Mhm.
told us really to protect us. And
Yeah.
I talk about this a lot in terms of, those messages that were good intentions, bad impact, right? We
Right.
keep that job, go get a job, make sure you're showing up, make sure you're doing the good thing. You got to have a job, got to be glad you have a job. And we don't
Hmm.
think about the fact that, well, yeah, but that's also mentally keeping us reliant upon just a job, and sometimes willing to take just about any kind of treatment because heaven forbid
Right.
you be without a job.
Mm.
And I think that is, it's kind of like, I was having a conversation with somebody not too long ago, and I think you were on that with me too. We were talking about this change, in like manufacturing and kind of our industrialized nation, the industrial revolution, right? And we had have all had all of this manufacturing everywhere across the US. That's how we built the country. And yet, as people got more money and they were able to buy more things, they would say things to their kids like, I want better for you. I want you to do better than me. Right. And that translated into, and in some cases was direct, I don't want you working in a factory. I don't want you doing blue collar. I don't want you
Right.
hourly. I don't want, I want better for my kids, which is beautiful. We all want, kids, nieces, nephews to do better than us.
Hmm.
But that translates into then what I was doing wasn't good. And that's not necessarily true. That's
Right.
good work.
Yeah. 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 You're totally right about that. Totally right
Hey,
about that.
Michael, welcome to the show.
I was going to ask if anybody in the audience has anything they want to say about like what they learned in that moment of should I stay or should I grow?
Yeah, I'm
Feel
going
free to hop
to,
on up.
yeah, feel free to invite yourself to speak. I'm getting ready to, well, I say that every time I get ready to invite somebody, something weird happens. Um, so yeah, so we'd love for you guys to come up and chit chat,
Laurel,
give
I
us your
wanted to ask
questions.
you, being
Yeah.
an HR expert extraordinaire, like if, and I, and I know you coach people through this a lot too. When somebody is
Hmm.
thinking like, should I stay or should I grow? What kind of, if you're in a position to be able to have some time and make a plan, how do you like, what are like the first couple of steps people should be thinking about?
I always tell people to just stop, especially if you're really upset. Just stop. Just stop. Don't do anything out of emotion. Just take a minute and figure out what it is. Is it me or is it them? Right? Is this really just not a fit? Do I have a bad boss? Do I have a bad project? Is this just a moment? Is there something going on at home? Really give yourself a chance before you make a big change. Give yourself a chance to understand what's really driving it first. That's first and foremost. Because once you understand that, then you can decide, is this something that I can change or not? Maybe where I am. Hey, come on in, Anthony. Or is
Well,
this the wifey?
hello. No, it's Anthony.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Hey, Anthony. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it's good to see you both and hear you both. I'm
Thank you.
not going
You
to talk
too.
for
You want to be
long
on
because I'm
video too?
driving. I don't like to
Oh,
drive
okay.
Oh,
and talk.
Okay.
yeah.
Be safe.
I think I'm breaking out. Breaking up.
Yep. You were breaking
Can
up a
you
little bit.
hear
I
me?
think we got you back though. Yeah, you're breaking
Oh,
up.
okay. I think yeah, I think it's coming
Yeah.
back.
Oh, yeah. There you
Okay.
are.
Can you hear now? One, two, three, four.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. I am a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
So I've worked for myself for most of my life.
Mm.
Um, when I was young, I was a architectural draftsman,
Mm.
and I just didn't like it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I didn't like it. I moved to Georgia, got into trucking,
Mm-hmm.
uh, bought my first truck when I was 23 years old.
Ah.
By the time I was 32, I had a fleet of six,
Wow.
Wow.
and I've always had businesses.
Mm-hmm.
During that time, I have done other things, might have taken a job somewhere to, just make ends meet or
Mm-hmm.
something. But usually, if I take a job, my first thought is, when can I quit?
Mm.
I love that.
Because all of this working for yourself, starting your own business is a mindset.
Yes. Yeah.
Everyone doesn't have it.
Mm-hmm.
Some people do need the security of a regular job and know that they're going to
Mm-hmm.
get a paycheck every Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but overall, I've done pretty good. I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
rich. I'm not rich. My house is paid for. My
That's
kids
That's
rich.
spend a
rich.
yeah. My kids have graduated from college. One's an
Yeah.
attorney. The other one's a physical therapist. So it
I
it
think you're doing all
really
right.
is. Well,
Yeah.
thank you. But it really is mindset.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because when you were talking about being afraid to leave the corporate environment, I
Mm-hmm.
can see how that can be hard
Yes.
because it is security. It's
Mhm.
like your security blanket.
Right.
And you can hold on to it and you're like, oh, I'm good. I know I can go on vacation. I know I can buy what I want when I want to buy it, and
Yep.
and all is good. But at what cost?
Right.
There
Are
is a
you
price.
Mhm.
exactly at what
Mhm.
cost? So are you miserable every time you get up in the morning? Um, if you wake up on a Monday morning and you say, I can't wait till Friday gets here,
Yes.
maybe you should be doing something else.
Maybe.
You know,
Maybe. I agree. Yes.
M- m-
Yes. If you're miserable every day, what are you
maybe, yeah,
doing?
and
What are you doing?
yeah, yeah,
I
really,
love
what
that.
are you
I love that.
doing? So
Well,
I
what do you
commend,
tell?
I com,
Oh, go ahead.
well, I was going to say I commend both of you for making that move. Um, so go ahead and say what you're going to say because I'm going to get on a tangent.
So that's okay. We love tangents too. So when you talk to people, right, and you've been an entrepreneur most of your life. My grandfather was an entrepreneur, and it just what it wasn't the way I was raised. I mean, I had entrepreneurs around me, but in my house, people were educators and went to work, and my mom was a nurse, and that kind of thing. What do you tell, young people who come to you and are trying to decide what they're going to do, what they're going to be when they grow up, and if they want to work for themselves or they want to work for somebody else, or what kind of advice do you give people?
Well, the questions usually come from someone that's in their 20s or,
Mm-hmm.
getting ready to graduate from college.
Mm-hmm.
And if they say they want to own a business, the first question I ask is why? Why do you want to
Mm-hmm.
own a business? And if they say because I want to make my own hours,
Mm-hmm.
no, maybe you don't need to have a business. They say, why not? Well, I'm like, well, you actually work more hours when you work
Mm-hmm.
for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
They're like,
Mm-hmm.
really? You just can't get up when you want and quit when you want? Well, you could, but you won't make any money.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so that's usually the first thing. But if they answer that question correctly, I also tell them the next thing is, well, it takes time. So a lot of hours
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of time. You
Mm-hmm.
may not see a profit for 2 years.
Yeah. At
Really?
least.
Well, yeah, yeah. And if you break even, be happy.
Yeah.
You
Yes.
know, I broke even.
Yeah.
I'm not going out of business. I'm still above water. I can still pay my employees. I can still, do all
Mm-hmm.
the things you need to do. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so did that answer the question?
Yes, no, that was great because I think, you know, Jenny and I've talked about this a lot. I'm like, I was so happy the year that my business finally paid for itself. It didn't pay for me, but it paid for itself. I'm like, baby steps, baby
Right,
steps. At
Great.
least
exactly.
at least it's paying for itself. And I think your point is right. When you're talking about staying or going, if your going is talking about moving from a paid position, an employee, to employer or business owner, that's a big leap and a big mindset shift that people need to think through.
Exactly, exactly. Especially, if you're not a sole proprietor and you have to
Hmm.
hire employees, you really have to think, well, I need to make sure my employees get paid. They
Hmm.
have families. So you
Yep.
have to keep that on your mind also. Um, and you were talking about your parents didn't work
Hmm.
for themselves, but you had other relatives.
Hmm.
It was kind of the same for me. When I decided to go into business, my mother told me, don't do it.
Yep.
She said,
Yeah.
she said, don't do it. I'm like,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
why not? You need security. You shouldn't,
Yes.
run your own business. But she was of that mindset.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
there's something I also always say. Some people have an employee mentality, and
Mhm.
some people have an employer mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
The people that have the employer mentality, those are the people that are good to start a business,
Mhm.
because it's a
Mhm.
totally different mindset. When you
Yeah.
work for yourself, at least you have some control over your destiny.
Mhm.
But when you work for someone else, you kind of have to wait for them to throw you a bone.
Mhm.
Yes. And if you're
You
waiting,
know,
you could be
go
waiting
ahead.
forever.
Yes.
Yes, you
Mhm.
can be waiting forever. And
Mhm.
if you're with a company that does have a toxic environment, um, they'll just keep treating you worse and worse,
Yep.
no
As
matter
lo-
what
peop
you do.
Exactly. People will treat you the way you let them treat you. They will. And
Exactly.
if you're in a
Exactly.
desperation or scarcity, mindset, which often we are, and that's what, having been in so many businesses and then also been on the consulting side, that whole running into leaders who really have that and have said out loud, well, they're not going to be able to find anything anywhere else as a
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
justification for how they're treating people. That's not leadership.
Right?
No, not at all, not at all. And the other thing with being an employee, when I know someone that's going to start a new job, the one bit of advice I always give them is don't believe the hype.
Right.
They're going to tell you everything is going to be roses. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
don't worry, this is going to happen. That's going to happen. Oh, you're going to move right up the ladder, but it's just hype.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
the employee is believing it.
Right. Right.
Unfortunately, most businesses, not all, but most
Right.
businesses don't have their employee, you know, one of their number one priorities.
Mhm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
it's
Yeah.
it's kind of sad, but
Yeah, we moved a long time ago to focus on shareholders, not even stakeholders, to focus on
the
shareholders, and that
shareholders.
leaves
Yeah,
employees in a really weird, position. And Jenny and I, when we were talking about, this show, it's like, man, there's so many people we know who are trying to make this decision of what to do, and but it is getting the mindset, and it's about what you want and what you're willing to do to get it.
yeah.
That's it. Yes. What you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do. Know what those
That,
Mhm.
things
that,
are.
Mhm. Mhm.
that's right. When I was younger, I would risk everything to start another business.
Mhm.
But now that I'm older, I'm not risking everything to start another business.
Right.
I want to
Right.
make sure I can live in my old age. Um,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, but it's all
Yeah.
good. Said I was talking for
Yeah.
like a minute, but it's been
No.
like 5 or 10 minutes, and I don't want to
Thank you so much,
No.
Anthony. We really
monopolize the
appreciate
show.
that insight.
Yes, you're awesome.
Okay.
And I love
All
your
right.
show. Yeah, so
Oh,
we're
well,
gonna.
thank you very much.
Yes,
Thank you very
yes,
much.
y'all are awesome. Y'all are awesome. I love listening to your show.
Well, thank
Um,
you. And your show, I do
Thank you.
listen to your show mostly in replay though.
Yes,
I don't.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I catch
That's
a
good to
lot of
know.
replays. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
I catch a lot of replays. It's just easier because my days get kind of weird, and I'm like, crap, I missed it. So replays
Right.
make a lot of sense for me. Yeah, so I'm glad they
Anthony,
have
tell
that
us your
option on
show again.
Fireside.
My show is I'm Right, I'm Right. That's it.
with
That's the
with
name
his
of it.
lovely wife.
I'm right, I'm right.
Yes.
Okay. All right, cool. Thank you so much.
And please
But
be safe driving.
I will. I will. Hey,
Yeah.
but now that we're on it, I'm launching another show on
Okay.
August 20th at
Okay.
9 p.m. And it's
Okay.
going to be called Poetic People Fighting Racism.
Poetic
So what
Ooh.
we're going
people
to do,
fighting
yeah,
racism.
Poetic
Okay.
People Fighting Racism, double PFR.
Gotcha.
So we're going to use poetry, music, any form of art to
Mhm.
spur conversations about racism in this country, and that talks about all types of racism.
Right.
LGBTQ, anyone that is marginalized in this country.
Hmm.
Any of the isms. Oh, I love that. I
Yes,
love that name too.
That's
So
great.
8:20
Yes.
at 9 p.m. Yeah. So Dave and Mark, make sure you're marking your calendars for that too, because their current show is fantastic. So I know this one is going to be awesome as well. So
Yeah. Well,
definitely check that out.
Jill's not going to be on this show, so better watch out.
We'll see
Jill,
then.
Jill keeps me straight. She keeps me in line.
That's funny. That's funny. Okay, so
We'll have to
maybe
check
she'll
it
tune
out.
into to the replay and give you some pointers on, okay, now baby, next time, here's what you need to do.
That's right. That's right.
That's
Don't let me
awesome.
go out on that limb.
Yeah,
All
that's
righty.
awesome.
All right. Well, I'm enjoying the show, and
Thank
keep
you.
on doing what you're doing, and I will hop off of the stage.
All right. Thank you,
All right.
Anthony.
All right. Love
Hey,
you
Laurel.
all.
Love you
Love
too. Hey,
you.
All
Thank
Dave.
right.
you. Laurel,
Hey,
one of
how
the
are
things.
you?
Oh,
We're
yay.
great,
Hey.
Dave.
Hi, Jenny.
Hi, how are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
Real good, thanks.
Very
Glad to
nice
have
to
you on
see
the
What's
you.
stage.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. What's going
Solid?
on,
Heck
Dave?
yeah.
What this whole staying going, growing?
What's that now? Say that again.
What you think from
I
your
love this.
perspective?
This is
Stay and
awesome.
go, and how do you decide, and all of that?
You know what? I tell you what. I might go a little off the record here, but you know what, Jenny, I love her to death. So I saw this, and I saw this opportunity, and I believe in this, and I I believe in Jenny, and I love everything that she says. So, I
Yay!
support her
Thank
fully,
you.
100%. She's awesome. She has always been awesome. But you know,
I agree.
this in whole
100.
this entire empowerment and uh, getting involved and understanding everybody and why we exist and where we come from
Hmm.
and all of our backgrounds and being inclusive and whatnot is so important in what we do and,
Hmm.
and how we if we're going to be successful in the end, let's just be real.
Yeah.
All of us being on the same page at the same time and working together and just being happy. There's so much negativity these days,
Yes.
and it we seriously for lack of being going on and on about it. It's just we just all need to learn to love each other, honestly, at the
Yeah.
end of the day.
Yeah.
I agree. I think it's
Dave,
Bishop
I
Michael
am
Curry. He's like, the greatest
so.
thing is love.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Say that again, Laura. I spoke over you. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's okay. It was Bishop Michael Curry who said, the greatest thing is love. He leads with love everywhere. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
For
What
sure.
were you going to say, Jenny?
I was just going to say, Dave, I'm so happy to see you on here. And
Yeah.
Dave is somebody who knows a lot of my suffering because we worked
Yeah.
together at my last job, at my
Yes.
last 9 to 5 job. So he totally gets it. We were in the trenches together and really had to like prop each other up in a lot of cases. And I do think that is one thing that can be good and bad about like when you're making that decision to stay or go, because a lot of times you're like, oh man, I don't want to leave these other people in this horrible situation because they've had my back and I don't want to
Hmm.
turn my back on them.
Hmm.
So sometimes that's
Hmm.
hard to work through, but I think in most cases, like they end up being happy for you. I know I'm
Yeah.
happy when one of my coworkers would leave and find something else. I'm like, oh my gosh, good for you. Are you
Yeah.
hiring? Let me
Right?
know.
Jenny, you know the situation that we were in, and you
Yeah.
know what? I'm not afraid to say this now, but I just up and left one day.
Mhm.
You know that.
You were
I
my
packed
hero that day.
literally I packed my stuff up because I had had enough and I left because you know what?
Wow.
Jenny can attest to this. There was literally no value in any type of diverse thinking. It was one way or that was it.
Wow.
Um,
Wow.
it just
That's
got old.
courage.
That
Yeah.
culture got old. I got sick of
Hmm.
it, and I had a phone call that literally let's the hair on the back of my neck was so it was raised. Let's just be real.
Hmm.
And you know what? I packed up my desk and I just walked out. I didn't say anything to anybody. I just walked out.
Mm.
That's probably, is that the right thing to do? No, probably professionally, but is it the right thing? Yeah. I mean, is it? No, but is it? Yeah. Just because honestly, I had had enough,
Yeah.
and I'm glad that Jenny's not in that situation because I've watched her on LinkedIn. I see her
Thank
now.
you.
She's smiling. She's
Yes.
she didn't do that for the longest time. She really did
Yeah.
not. She's smiling right now, which is cool. And
Hmm.
I saw this pop up today, and I had to jump on. I just had to, not
Yay!
only to support her, but I just believe in all of this. So it's
Yeah, I'm
good.
so glad. And so, man, if you know Jenny, then I think you're awesome because she's amazing,
He's awesome.
amazing. Yes, and I got to tell you, Dave. Yeah, people can make all kinds of judgments. You shouldn't have left. You shouldn't have done that. When it gets to that point where you are ready to really pack up and just go, it is time. It's beyond time.
Yep,
It's
that's
time,
correct.
and you got to take care of you. Put your mask on first, right?
Yep,
Because they're going to be there. They're going to keep doing their thing. At the end of the day, and my dad used to tell us this all the time. He's like, you got to be careful. Yes, you need to do good work and all that kind of stuff. He said, but you got to be careful because the minute have that heart attack or have that issue or die or whatever, they're just going to roll your body out of the chair and put somebody else in it. So don't
that's
be
correct.
twisted that it's about you. It's not. It's about the bottom line. So I applaud you. If it gets that way, just go. Just go. And I'll
Yes,
tell anybody that. Just go. You can't you cannot sacrifice your life for an organization. Well, let me rephrase that because you can. You shouldn't sacrifice your life for an organization.
correct,
Yeah. And
You
Dave,
correct.
I
should
think
not.
you ended up a lot happier, am I right?
100%. I can't even tell you how much happier I am. Look, I'm working on my doctorate right now. Okay, at the university.
Yay!
Yeah, I will graduate in 2 terms. I'll be done. But let me tell you something. I'm really glad the program that I chose because look, my dissertation that I'm going to give in January is on diversity, equity, and inclusion in
Hmm.
the workplace from a hiring aspect and also from a retention aspect.
Love it.
Um, so I've been going through the research phase, and I tell you what, it's very eye opening. Let's just be real. It's eye opening when you start talking about hiring, when you start talking about
Hmm.
retention, when you start talking about people's true happiness. When they come to work. So I mean, this program has really, really, really opened my eyes even further to the day that I walked out of our old previous employer that Jenny and I
Yes.
worked for. So, it's kind of like I've been on a totally different and new trail, and it's
Yay.
something that I'm extremely passionate for. And that is a little bit of why I jumped on, other than the fact that Jenny's involved. So,
Yeah.
Awesome.
No, I love that because, Jenny, you were saying earlier, that growing, right? It's that
Mhm.
leaving. It's sometimes about growing and doing that thing
Yes.
that just makes you better.
Yeah.
yes.
Just not doing the same stupid thing every day,
Yeah.
that's
Hmm.
making you unhappy. Let's try a
Hmm.
different stupid thing. Even if it ends up being
Right?
stupid, at least it's
That's
different,
right.
right?
Right.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, and I think we get roped into thinking that that we can't do anything different. And that's what, you'd asked me earlier, Jenny, what would I tell people? And it's like it's a mindset thing. Anthony was talking about that too. It's a mindset thing too. It is in consulting, they called it golden handcuffs, right? Especially at the big ones, at the Deloitte, the Accentures, right? The EYs, the PwCs. They pay you so much money at certain levels. When you get to a certain level, they pay you so much money and the bonuses are so good and all this kind of madness that people tend to put up with the nuttiness because the money's so good. And they're like,
Yep.
oh my gosh, but I'll never make enough money because we're, living up to our, exactly up to what our means are. Hey, Chris, welcome to the show. It's Chris Rossetti, everybody.
Yep.
And so it's really, I think that the power of what Dave said and now embarking on this new journey is that leaving, while it can be scary, even when you know it's time to go, there's so much like growth and learning and happiness and yes, some scariness too, but there's so much joy after the departure.
Mm,
If for no other reason than you're not no longer in that pain anymore. You may have different pain, but that pain is gone. And there's
right.
joy in that.
Right. And I am so pleased that, and I hear the joy in Dave's voice talking about what he's doing now. I never would have guessed that Dave would have a doctorate having to do with diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Mhm.
That brings me joy. I can tell it brings
Yes.
Dave joy. And you never know, you never would have done any of that stuff if you hadn't have walked out, if you
Yes.
hadn't have taken the leap, if you wouldn't have say, you know what, this isn't it. I don't know what it is necessarily at this particular moment, but this
Mhm.
isn't it.
Yes.
And just taking the opportunity to grow is amazing. I'm so proud and excited that that happened.
Yay! Yay, Dave! Yeah, and you're my inspiration. It's another God wink because I'm
Yeah.
determined to start working on my doctorate, and so I've got to get some other things lined up so I can get rid of some stuff. That's what Jenny and I've been talking about. Get some stuff off my plate so that I
Yes.
can put some stuff on my plate that I really want to do.
Oh,
So,
I would love to call you
so
Dr.
Chris,
Rutledge.
right? Me too, Dr. Rutledge in
Me
the house.
too.
So Chris, what we've been talking about is whether when you know it's time to stay or to go slash grow. So that's what we're talking about. Whether that's leaving, your employer to go do your own thing, or whether that's just leaving a particular position, whatever it is. So how do you know when it's time to when you need to just stay or when it's time to go slash grow? So that's what we're talking
And I would say
about.
a lot of what we're talking about also applies to relationships too. I know we're kind of
Yes.
focused on work
Mm-hmm.
stuff here, but like the same kind of thing for relationships. Like
Yes.
sometimes
Yes.
you get so angry and there's so many reasons to stay and there's so many reasons to go, but when it gets
Mm-hmm.
to that point where you're just done, you like have that moment of
Yeah.
peace, like I'm done. It is time to
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
And you go, and then you're also like, for me anyway, um my situation is was, why didn't I do that earlier? And I think that it's
Yes.
applied to jobs and to relationships. Like, why wasn't I listening to those whispers about you should go,
Yes.
you shouldn't be here? Yet,
Mm-hmm.
waiting for that scream that's like,
Yes. I agree.
yeah.
I agree. Personal and professional relationships.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Chris Rossetti.
Well, hello. Thank you for allowing me to speak here in San Francisco.
Hey, Chris.
Absolutely. Hello, San Fran.
I am lying on a park bench and I'm looking straight up at the clouds and I
Mm,
see the sun. This is very unusual for our city.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's great.
I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying the clouds and the sun.
Good.
Thanks for
Good.
bringing us with you.
Yes.
I'm reminded of a song when you were talking about the topic.
Mm-hmm.
Should I stay or should I go?
Yes.
Should I
I love
stay
that
or should
song.
I go?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
And
Well, and
I would
Chris,
say,
what about you?
yeah,
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
no, I would say from personal experience or personal example, um, I, I used to have one simple prayer every day of my life, and it was this: God, can't I wake up happy? And,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of things you can pray for and hope for, and work for and strive for. But I just really wanted to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
Can I just wake up happy every day about
Mm-hmm.
what I was going to be doing? And it took many, many years and many jobs and many iterations and many transformations. And it finally happened about 27 years ago, 22
Mm-hmm.
years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I have honestly got to say that I have woken up every day happy.
Mm.
That's
And so
awesome.
I would say that that's a good criteria to use about when I should say or when I should go is,
Mm-hmm.
are you happy? Are you happy? I
Yeah.
have sat in my living room with my wife and child, and when he was an infant, in the house and the picket fence kind of thing. I've sat there with massive checks in my hand from work and just
Mm-hmm.
cried with unhappiness. Just cried with
Yeah.
unhappiness. It's not
Yeah.
in the money; it's in the relationships. Yeah,
Yes.
that's my opinion, is are you happy? If you're not happy,
Yeah.
re-examine it.
Yeah. And that's
And
so
and with
good
and
because
with that, can you throw me to the audience because the sun is
oh,
glaring? I can't see what I'm doing.
absolutely. I can put you in the
Thanks,
audience. Um,
thanks.
yeah, and thank you for joining, Chris. It is, it's just so, what he said is so profound because, yes, there's the practical, right, Jenny? We talk about that all the time. There's the practical. We all got bills to pay, mortgages to pay, folks got kids to feed. There's all
Hmm.
the practical stuff
Need health
that's real.
insurance. Hmm.
Health insurance, there's real stuff. And yet, what is the money worth? Is the money worth your sanity, your joy? Is it really worth it? And
Yeah.
again, sometimes you got to do what you got to do till you can do what you want to do. But at some point, it's time to re-examine. Like me, I hadn't slept on a Sunday night for 5 years. 5 years, y'all. It was time. It was time. Welcome to the show, Sonia. We're talking about when to know whether to stay or to go slash grow, whether that's work. We were mostly talking about work, but now we're kind of moving into that whole, professional, personal relationships. Sometimes you got to know when to stay and go grow those too. Because the relationship may be preventing you from growing, right, Jenny?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes.
Yeah.
And both work and personal stuff. Like you, yeah. In both of those settings, I've had people come to me after I've broken up with my employer or broken up with my like ex-husband, for example, and be
Hmm.
like, "Oh my gosh, we're like so happy to see you out of there. Like you're doing so much better now. You're smiling now,
Hmm.
like Dave said. Like
Hmm.
other people can see it too." And I was
Yes.
wanting to talk about what you said about doing what you have to do
Hmm.
until you can do what you want to do.
Want to do. Hmm.
I that's so key because there are times when you got to do it. You got to pay your mortgage or whatever
Hmm.
it is,
Hmm.
and you need
Hmm.
to be thinking about how to get out or how. And I think part
Yes.
of the many things I've heard you talk about is having that vision. If you can
Hmm.
see it, you can be it. So one thing that has
Yes.
really helped me is like think of what it would be like to not be in that relationship anymore. Think of what it would be like to
Hmm.
not be in that employment situation anymore. And when you can
Hmm.
start to visualize it, then you can kind of believe, okay, it is possible. So that's something I would
Yeah.
encourage other people to do.
Yeah. And that is true because I don't hurt yourself because you're mad at them, right?
Oh, I
If you're
love
in
that.
danger, yeah, if you're in danger, you got to go, right? And I say danger with a big D. So that could be just you're in an environment that is just toxic, it's weighing you down, it's stressing you out, you're creating anxiety. It could be that, or it could be truly physical danger, right? So if you're in danger, you need to get out. Figure out a way to get out, call somebody, ask for help, seek your village, do something to get out of a dangerous situation. If it's
Absolutely.
not a dangerous situation, give yourself some time to really examine, to make a plan, and then to move. Because once you do that, and in your plan, think about your worst case scenario. When I looked at, I think somebody's requesting to speak to Jenny. When
Mm-hmm.
I got ready to leave and start my own business, one of the things that I thought about was, what is my absolute worst case scenario? Worst case scenario, because I'm leaving, no check, no insurance, no, what is my worst case scenario? And when I really started to think about that, I'm like, okay, well, as long as I've got my brother, right, my family, a couple of cousins that I really like, those people, I'm not going to be homeless and I'm not going to be hungry.
Mm-hmm.
Those things aren't going to happen. As long as those people are around, those things aren't going to happen. And
Mm-hmm.
so if my worst case scenario is I have to be embarrassed because I'm moving back home with my, 81-year-old
Yeah.
mom, okay, well that sucks, but it's not, I'm not going to be on the street, right? So
Right.
so as you're planning, as you're trying to decide to go, think about your worst case scenario because our worst case scenario most of the time never even gets close to happening.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a really great point. Chris says in the chat, he's given us another song, some Kenny Rogers. You got to know when to hold them. You got to know when to
Yes.
fold them. Know when to walk away and know when to
Yes.
run.
Yes. I
So
love me some
true.
Kenny. Yes.
So
Kenny
true.
Rogers. Yeah. That is so true. And so I just think we got to give ourselves some grace, man, and be okay with leaving because some of it too is
Yeah.
just fear of the unknown.
Mm-hmm. And you don't want to be a quitter.
Yeah. Oh, that's a big one, Jenny.
I know. I
That's a
know.
big
But think of
one.
how much you can grow. Think of all the
Yes.
awesome things you could be doing next. You could be getting your doctorate. You could be finding a job you never knew was
Yes.
the right job for you, or start your business that
Yeah.
really feeds your soul. Yeah.
Yes. Think about that from the time we're little. Don't be a quitter. Don't be a quitter.
Yes. Right.
Every
Right.
time
Yeah.
something was hard, don't be a quitter. Well, then
Hmm.
we translate that again, those unintended consequences. We translate that into every time you quit something, that's a bad thing. That's not true. Hi,
Yes.
Sonia. Welcome to the
Yes.
stage.
Hi. Okay.
Can you? Yeah, we can hear you fine.
Hi.
Welcome.
Sorry, I'm new to the speaking part, but
Oh,
We've
you're
all
good.
been
No.
there.
Yeah, it's all good.
can you hear me okay?
We can.
Yes.
Yeah, I just thought that was recently happened to me, right? In terms of like whether to go and or choose
Mm-hmm.
to grow, right? And I've after like yeah what you said, like review the situation, and if you're not gonna grow any further, then you gotta make that decision, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for me it was like it was good timing for me. I had like
Mm-hmm.
a shift in my relationship, so it was like an overall haul of everything. So
Yeah.
that was like but in terms of preparation there are so much you can do, and But
Yeah.
with the technology that we have, the speed of things that we can do things are also drastically different than what we're
Yes.
used to. And
Hmm.
I really appreciate that component and learning, and of course, stay on your toes all the time, which is like an exciting thing. So if you
Yes.
gonna dive deep, you go dive deep.
Mm.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, so that was my experience, and I totally so appreciate. And I'm not now limiting myself into that bracket that you fit in the corporate world.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so it's very liberating,
Yeah,
and of course,
it is.
at the same time, scary and exciting.
Yes. The fear is real. The fear is
Yes.
real for sure.
Yeah.
Monica, welcome to the show as well. Yeah, Sonia, I'm so excited for you. It is so nice to finally jump into
Yes.
that new space, right?
Laurel, so I'm gonna hop off and
Yeah,
hop
you're
back
good, Jenny.
on. Okay, sorry. It was like
Oh,
totally frozen up on my end. Go
yeah,
ahead.
you're good.
Carry on.
Yeah, it's so nice to finally jump into that space, to finally make the leap. Finally.
Mhm.
Scary, but really liberating. I love that word, Sonia, that liberating word.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, thanks. It's been, and then of course you, like for me, it was like I didn't know anything on coming into the digital marketing component, right? Because
Hmm.
anything that you take off into the internet is going to be some sort of digital stuff. So,
Hmm.
was finding and increasing your capability is what I've been doing the last few months,
Hmm.
and so I find that like there's so much out there that you can learn from. And of
Yes.
course, I decided to hire a coach, and
Hmm.
and that really like sped things up and kind of placed things for me in terms of the system that we are
Hmm.
getting and jumping on. So
Yes.
that was like eye opening for me, and at the same time now I'm like, how does that apply to me and customize to me on my business that I wanted to be able to do, right?
Yeah.
So it was a lot
Awesome.
of like deep thinking as well,
Mhm.
go internally and what's important to me, and
Hmm.
how do I like go about doing these kind of things and breaking it down as a planner myself formerly, right? So I was
Yeah.
able to understand more of the steps because I needed the the
Yeah.
breakup of the steps, so small steps so I can climb. So
Hmm.
that's how I
Yeah.
kind of think, and then you look at the overall picture. Very important to look at what's important to you and what's important to those around you as well, in many ways, because it does
Yes.
affect all of those, right? Because anything you do for me is like a contribution to your
Hmm.
world in many ways, right?
Yeah.
So
I
um,
love it.
mhm.
I love it. And such good things too. Like you said, learning, growing, getting new
Mm.
skills, right? Jenny and she's always talking about some things that she's learning, and I'm like, okay, I got to go learn this too. But I'm like, she's my hero because she's like, yeah, I'm doing this copywriting thing, and I'm doing this SEO thing, and I'm doing this. I'm like, oh,
Laurel,
I'm just
you're
trying to
my
figure out
hero. You gotta stop it. You're my
how to
hero.
post.
I'm just jumping in now, Jenny. You're becoming my hero too. That's good.
Yes.
Laurel's my hero, man.
She's amazing. I'm telling you guys. Jenny Keeler, Silver Bow Projects. I'm telling you. Go follow her. LinkedIn, Facebook. Yep.
And I was going to mention,
Awesome.
while
Yeah.
you're talking of coaches, Laurel is also a coach in case you need one in
Yeah.
the future. She's an
Yeah.
amazing coach and
Always happy to serve.
helps people transition through all sorts of
Thank
life
you.
changes. So, Sonia, what is your
I
Yeah.
business?
also
Thank you.
scanned your profile. I
Yeah.
am right now. I love business development. This is what I'm doing, and of course,
Yeah.
in the online space, it is marketing.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
a lot of the digital components and stuff like that. But then there's a whole system of that, right? Whether it's
Hmm.
email marketing and whether it's copy, all of those things I didn't know had to learn coming from the brick and mortar
Right.
type of
Right.
environment or corporate, however you want to term it. So
Yes.
that was like yeah, of course my mind being I think I was more creative, but because of being in the financial industry for a while, you place in that
Hmm.
box that compliance
Yes.
thing, just like you can't touch this wall
The
because
C word. Yes.
So I was
Yes.
like, for a little while, I got stiff, still stiff, and
Mhm.
I'm trying to like get myself into this fireside. So, and on the video
Yeah.
side, which is kind of like I feel is still something that I need to improve upon.
Yeah.
So it's
I
coming
can
up.
tell you, just keep doing it.
Just
Keep
Yeah.
doing it. I, as someone who still hates being on camera, I hate being on camera.
Yes.
You just do it. You just do it. And you don't think about it as you think about it as who needs to see you, who needs to hear your message.
right, because you
Yeah,
can't help
that's
people
Because
if
it's
you
not
don't
about
talk to
you.
them, right?
yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. So I like your
Exactly.
background
So,
there, Jenny. What is that in your hair? I thought
oh,
you had wings, you know?
No, well, I've got some gray wings
oh no.
developing here, but I've
No,
got like,
there's a picture
yeah,
that's behind you, and I thought, oh, she
Yeah.
has wings.
I got who knows? I got all sorts of
Yes.
stuff back
Your
here,
Ohio.
like a hodgepodge.
Yes.
Got my Ruth Bader Ginsburg, my Ohio stuff, my Delta stuff, all sorts of stuff. And I will show you
Yes.
Awesome.
this. This is one thing I keep on my desk. It's like this little arts and craft project I
How
bought
cute
at a
is
fair.
that?
That's Ralphie from The Christmas Story, which is my favorite Christmas movie.
That's awesome.
Aw, how cool is
That's
that? Little
awesome.
bunnies, you know?
Yes. Well, we
Yes.
are entering into, we try to keep it around 45 to 50 minutes. And so we're entering kind of in the last part of the
Mhm.
show. And so we are, Jenny and I have the best time when we're doing this together. And this is going to be monthly. So stay tuned. Empowerment Village will be monthly, midday, every month. So I think our next one, I think we said September
Yeah,
7th,
a
right,
little bit
Jenny, is the
earlier
next
next
one? I
month.
think it was
Yeah,
earlier.
so right after
So
Labor Day.
September 7th is, that's right. Oh, Labor Day. Good God. Y'all, it's already mid-August. I
Yeah.
can't
Yes.
with the way this time is flying. So
And
we're
you
going to
guys
do
are
it
already,
again in September, and we'll who knows what the topic is going to be. We get together and like, hey, what what do you want to
If you
talk
have
about?
ideas, let us
So we'll
know,
find
people.
something. Yes, yes. Send us a
yeah.
note. Follow Jenny on IG. Who can I turn to? Follow me on IG, The Rutledge Perspective or Laurel K. Rutledge. Send us a DM. We love connecting and hearing your
Yep.
ideas. And then you can catch me on Fireside the other weeks on either Wednesday night or Thursday night. I'm going to be moving to Wednesdays in September, but I have a great guest next week, Karen Rhodes, who has her own business now and was a senior executive in HR at Microsoft. So she's coming next week. But we love spending this time with you
Yes.
guys, and so glad that you joined in the
Thank you so
audience.
much. And also, if you're saying I need more Laurel in my life, because I am always saying that, you can check out her podcast, which is the Rutledge Perspective, and download it from your favorite
Thank you.
podcasting platform. It's great.
Yeah.
So is
Thank
there
you
a
so
link
much, Jenny.
that we tap on here to get, you know?
You know what? Let us, see, when you talk about being new to Fireside, Jenny and I do this stuff all the time, but then we forget to do stuff. So there is, we'll put in, if we edit the fortune
Yeah.
cookie, I'm going to put in our ats. So at, Jenny is at who underscore, is it who I can turn
I don't
to?
know. No, I got to go look it up.
Okay. I'll put
It's
mine because I
who
remember
can
mine.
underscore I underscore
There it
turn
is.
to.
Okay. Who can underscore
Huh?
I underscore turn to.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's Jenny. And then I'm at, oop, if it'll let me do this. Okay. I'm at Laurel. Nope. Okay. I'm just going to save this one. So that's Jenny. And then I'll put mine in later. And you can find mine. I think mine are in my profile too. So if you come to
Yeah.
Fireside and
Mhm.
follow me, and then you'll see my profile, and everything is in my profile as well. And you can get
I
the
think I do
the Rutledge
follow you.
Perspective podcast on any of the platforms, and it's the Rutledge Perspective podcast. You'll see my picture.
Yeah,
I don't think I
awesome.
have pink in my hair, but on my picture, but you'll be able to see that it's me. But yeah, thank you so much, Sonia, for asking. I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it, and
I don't know
would
how to
love to
leave
hear
this
from you
picture.
guys. Send us DMs. Send us reviews, send us
We
notes.
wanted to celebrate. We always like to celebrate women at the
Yes.
end of our show.
Yes.
So I wanted to point and cheer to Serena Williams this week. Her interview in Vogue was
Yes.
amazing, and I just really appreciated all the things
Yeah.
she had to say in there. And I thought she had such an interesting perspective about being a woman in sports and being, she's the greatest of all time
Yes.
in her field. And if you haven't read the interview,
Yeah.
I'd recommend going to read it. It was really eye-opening and she's just awesome. So I'm celebrating Serena
Yeah.
this week.
Yes, it was phenomenal. And I actually, this is going to sound really weird because she's not necessarily in the public eye, but she's about to be again. I'm actually celebrating Viola Davis because I
Yes.
just read her book. Oh my gosh. Y'all got to get that
Yeah.
book. And now it is not a happy, happy, ha ha, life is great. That's not what kind of book it is. It is definitely a hero story, but it is so raw and real. And she talks about the realities of acting. She talks about the realities of her life and how she's gotten where she is and the amazing things about her relationships and the really ugly things about her relationships. So I
Yes.
am celebrating Viola Davis because I think she's also just,
She's amazing.
she's just a
I haven't
badass,
read the
man.
book
She
yet, but
is.
I have heard her talk about it on several shows, and I need to get this book. It's called
Yes.
Finding Me.
Yes, Finding Me by Viola Davis. I highly recommend. So, two great women. If you're looking for something, go check them out. Go follow them. Serena's all over
Yeah.
IG all the
Yes.
time, so she has always posts some really good stuff on IG as well. So go see them, and we will plan to see you guys in a month on Empowerment Village. So September 7th, mark your calendars. It's going to be the same time, noon Central, 1 p.m. Eastern. So join us for Empowerment Village again next month, and then I will see you next week on and Jenny too, because Jenny's my producer on the show. On Thursday, we'll be interviewing Karen Rhodes. You'll be able to hear her podcast. Her pre-recorded podcast will drop Wednesday, so you'll get to hear that, and then come join me on Thursday to chat with her live about all things leadership and showing up. She's developed her own leadership assessment. She's got a consulting business. She is incredible. So come join us for that conversation as well. So with that, we're going to say goodbye. Thank you all for
Y'all.
being here. We
Thank
appreciate
you
you
so
being in
much,
the
Laurel.
audience and appreciate